Good afternoon, everybody. Pigskin Pete here. Happy Thursday to everybody. I see somebody in there saying, stop breathing so hard in the mic. I didn't know the mic was on. Technical difficulties. Still trying to get this whole call-in studio thing worked out, and that's what the point of this is. Disclaimer before I start. If a 3-year-old runs in this room and starts yelling for daddy to do something, I'm sorry, but I might have to do it for him. But anyway, so the phone lines are currently open for anybody who wants to talk about Kelly Bryant transferring, anybody who wants to talk about the Super Bowl, the NFL draft. I've uploaded a couple of videos today. And the reaction that I got from the Kelly Bryant video, because as soon as I heard that Kelly Bryant was possibly going to transfer from Missouri, I had a bunch of Missouri fans come on and tell me he's not transferring. And listen, here's the way this works. I don't know how that whole thing works. I don't know if he's allowed to transfer. All I was doing is reading the news on the internet, and I was making an immediate reaction to it. Now, I think it's funny. I think it's funny because he just transferred like 2 months ago, and all of a sudden he wants to maybe transfer again. Now, if he stays at Missouri, great. Great for Kelly Bryant. Great for Missouri. I mean, I don't have a feeling on that either way. I could care less. I'm not a Missouri fan. But I do want to see Kelly Bryant do well. So we'll see what happens with that. Anybody have any thoughts on that? Let me know. If you have any thoughts on the NFL draft. So I did a mock draft for the first round of the NFL draft that's coming up. And I'm sure I got probably, 32 picks, right? I'm sure I probably got 30 of them wrong. The only one I'm really sure of, or two, is that Nick Bosa and Ed Oliver and probably Quentin Williams will probably go in the top 10. Other than that, I couldn't tell you. But I gave my opinions on that. I had somebody come on, a Baltimore Ravens fan, very immediately and tell me, why are you saying that the Ravens need a quarterback? We got Lamar Jackson. Well, because Lamar Jackson's not a future quarterback. I don't think he is. He's not going to be a long-term quarterback. But I did not pick for the Ravens to pick a quarterback in the draft, so I don't know what his beef with me was on that. Look. If you think Lamar Jackson's the future, that's your problem, not mine. Let me get out of here real quick and see if there's anybody on the call-in studio here. No, there's not. The number to call is 855-902-9368. If you want to call in and tell me how stupid I am, if you want to call me to tell me that my sunglasses are cheap or my hat is retarded, what does my hair look like? Do I have a hairline? Am I bald? Whatever it is you want to say. Kelly Bryant sucks. The Clemson's on Osterine. What are the other things I hear all the time? Oh, you're a terrible YouTuber. Do you live in your mom's basement? Do you have a job? No, I don't have a job. I pay for my house and my car and my family off of. Yeah, you're on with Pigskin Pete.
Afternoon, Pete.
Hey, good afternoon. Who am I speaking with?
My name is Lane. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. What you want to talk about?
Well, I saw a video a couple weeks ago. It's an older topic, but something I've been interested to talk about is Tech, actually.
Georgia Tech?
About how I'm a Tech fan. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Awesome. Anytime anyone wants to call and talk about Georgia Tech, I'm always up for that. So what was the video about, and what? Obviously, I probably pissed you off.
It was about after Johnson was fired, and I listened and I agreed with all the things he said. How it pretty much destroyed the program from inside out. Honestly.
All right, so you actually just surprised me a little bit, to be honest with you, that you're a Georgia Tech fan.
My face, but I knew we couldn't do nothing.
So did you read the comments for that video?
I read a few.
Most of them did not share your sentiments, sir. Most of the people on there went on to tell me how I didn't know anything about football, and of course, the triple option's hard to defend, and Paul Johnson's a great man, and you guys were irrelevant before he came along, and then they went on to tell me how many times Paul Johnson beat Clemson and all this sort of thing. And listen, Paul Johnson might be a great guy. I don't know the guy from a hole in the wall. He might have taken Georgia. Mm-hmm. He might have taken Georgia Tech from relevance back to being a winning program again, over 500. But the way I've always contended, it doesn't matter if you're a Georgia Tech fan, even terrible teams like Kansas and Oregon State, or whatever the Power 5 football program is in America, I have the same feeling as a fan, and you're a fan, and so you relate to this. You should be competing to win your conference, and you should be competing for higher things than that eventually, right? And so if Paul Johnson's not doing that, if I was a Georgia Tech fan, and this was the whole point of the video that I was trying to get the point across, was if I'm a Georgia Tech fan, just winning the ACC once in a decade and having a losing record to Clemson and year after year sort of being disappointing, hovering around 6, 7, 8 wins is not acceptable. I mean, so you agree with that?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Granted, I'll say it right now. For these next 3 years, it's going to be a struggle. I'm going to sit here and say it. I ain't going to say, we're going to come out, win 9 games, this and that. I know it's going to be a rebuild, but I like the fact that we have Collins in there for the fact he's a working man. He works. He wants you to do the best in everything, not just football, not just this, that, blah, 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 everything. Everything he wants you to do is succeed. And I like that he has that mentality. Yeah,
and he's an Atlanta guy, right? He's from the area, right?
He's from that's around where I live. I don't remember the name of it, but I know whenever they introduced him, they were joking around because the high school he went to was the Bulldogs. And I'm a Georgia hater. I hate the Dogs with passion.
Right, naturally.
Sure, anybody. Yeah. And whenever his high school was the Bulldogs, and they kept asking him questions, and the thing made me smile and happiest of all is he's banned red from the locker room. I smiled, and my dad and he laughed at that one.
Right. So I do know so he's from Georgia, but he's also a Georgia Tech alum, right?
I think so. I'd have to look it up, but he's either a Tech alum or somewhere in Carolina.
I'm pretty sure he's a Georgia Tech alum. Yeah.
It's either that or somewhere in Carolina. It's one of two.
Yeah, and that's important. And that was one of the things that I pointed out when they made. First of all, I think it was a great hire. So, but like you said, I think it's going to take them 2 or 3, probably 3 or 4 years really to get things back on track because Paul Johnson, he's been recruiting to run the triple option since he's been there. He's been there for, how long was he there? 10 years, something like that. 10 years.
2008, 10 years.
Yeah, so it's going to take them time. They're going to run a more traditional or a mix between a pro style and a spread style offense. So, yeah, they're going to have to recruit players to run that offense. I think this next year might be pretty brutal. But, listen, I think that the future is bright. Atlanta is one of the biggest hotbeds in all of America for recruiting. And I know that Georgia Tech fans, the first thing they want to say, they do the same thing that Notre Dame fans and all the other Northwestern and some of these other schools that are elite academic universities, right? And I understand that.
Yeah.
And they say, well, we can't recruit the players that Clemson gets. We can't recruit the players that Alabama gets because of our academic standards. Now, I understand that. I understand it.
Yeah, I know. Because, like, we have same academic standards for a long time. And, like, back in the 90s, early 2000s, we were able to pull people like Calvin out.
Exactly. I mean, you are hitting all the points that I've been saying. And if you look at teams like Stanford and Northwestern and some of these other schools, I mean, listen, the ACC is full of elite academic programs. Pitt, Virginia, Duke, North Carolina. Now, most of those aren't football powerhouses, but still, they've been, well, at least some of them in the past few years have been doing better than Georgia Tech. And I think Georgia Tech, you know, it may be hard for them to eventually win a national title, but it's not out of the possibility. And there's no reason whatsoever that, as weak as the ACC Coastal Division is, that they should not be winning that, or at least competing for it every single year.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if we ran a traditional offense, I feel like we could win it every year, because honestly, we have always done good. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Johnson's done this, but even with the offense, somehow that part of the ACC has been so poor that we're still, even with that, able to be in the top 2 or 3 every year.
Exactly. And listen, I mean, I do believe that you're going to see a rise in Miami, most likely. And, you know, Virginia Tech's been down for a few years, but I think that you know, just based on their name brand alone and all of that, they'll get better than they have been. So Georgia Tech's not going to have any sort of cakewalk. None of these teams are. I don't think the Coastal Division is going to be as bad as it has been in the past few years. It's going to get better. But again, even if it gets better, even if Virginia Tech gets better, even if Miami gets better, there still should be no reason why Georgia Tech shouldn't be winning that at least one out of every 3 years and competing for the ACC.
Yeah. I'm also interested in about 2 other things real quick. One, okay, I'm not going to sit here and talk trash, but do you think there's a chance that Tech can surprise Clemson at the start of next season?
No.
You don't think so?
No, not next season. But because of the reasons that we just mentioned, because of the transition and the fact that the players they have aren't going to fit the system that this new guy's going to run. Now, listen, it'd be different if it was last year or if it was even 2 years from now. But I don't think next year. Look, man. I'm not talking trash either, but Clemson is at least one of the top 2 programs in America right now, and Tech's not anywhere close to that. So I don't think there's any way that Tech can beat Clemson next year. No.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say wrong. I don't think we can. I just feel like if somehow the only reason we could, because transition, it'd be something they have to really study up on. Thursday night, I mean, some things could happen, but you're right.
Here's the thing, though. Who's your quarterback going to be?
I haven't thought about it. The one thing that I have thought about is the guy for Virginia Tech, what's his name, who's transferring. I was curious if there's a way we could get him, because he's played in pro style. But if not, we got 2 guys right now that I'd say compete, and that's Lucas Johnson. He hasn't even played a single down for us yet. And the freshman recruited, Jordan Yates out of Milton.
Okay. So these are that guy, he's recruited by the new coach?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's your start. But again, I mean, you're talking about even if they have a guy that can run a pro style offense going up against Brent Venables' Clemson defense in the first game of the year, that's a tall task. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm planning on going to it, so I'd be happy if we won.
Well, I'm sure you would, and I wouldn't if that happened. I wouldn't be happy at all. Anyway, hey, listen, thanks for the call. I got another call I want to get on, but hey, please call in again. You might be my resident Georgia Tech fan, because most Georgia Tech fans absolutely despise Pigskin Pete, and to be honest, most of the time I despise myself. But listen, call back in and keep me updated with Georgia Tech stuff in the future. I appreciate you calling in.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. All right.
Good day.
You too. All right, I got another call here from an 864 area code. And I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up. Hey, good afternoon. You're on with Pigskin Pete. How you doing?
May there, buddy. May there. How you doing down there? Doing good?
I didn't even know it was you.
Good Lord. Who else talks like this? Santa?
Well, I mean, I knew it was you once you started talking. I didn't know it was you before I picked it up is what I meant.
Oh, it's been a while, buddy. How you doing? You doing good?
Hey, I'm amazing and fantastic. You already know that.
You always are. You always are. Is it the shampoo you use, or is it the beer you drink?
I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
hey, let me tell you this. Let me give you a scenario right here about Kelly Bryant. Let me give you a scenario. Two scenarios. First one, this one is going to actually look like what almost went on last year. He transfers back to Clemson. He comes back in, Pete. Think about this. He's been working. He's a better passer this year, Pete. How could he not be the starter, Pete? He could come in and overthrow Trevor Lawrence. Of course, I'm joking completely and totally because that ain't possible. But the other thing is, why would anybody think that he might even transfer right now? Because it's not like we thought that Missouri was going to do anything great enough to get into anything meaningful in the postseason. Even if they wasn't banned, Pete, you know as well as I do that he did well. He was going to sit out that bowl game. So I think he's going to stay. That's my opinion.
Well, every Missouri fan that has come on my channel since I posted that video earlier today agrees with you. So you probably, all you guys know something I don't know. And here's the thing. He's not coming. He's not coming back to Clemson. We know that, right?
I don't know.
And as far as him sitting out a bowl game, even if they did get to a bowl game, which I do think they're a bowl team. They're not a playoff team, but they're a bowl team. I don't agree with that. I think that he wouldn't sit out because, listen, who sits out bowl games? Like top 10, top 15 picks overall in the draft. Kelly Bryant would be lucky to get drafted at all, let alone in the top 15. So I think every game he could possibly play as a college player would benefit him as far as the draft goes. I don't think he would sit out. But let me ask you this, because this is something that I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Can you transfer like he did, however long it was, a month ago, 2 months ago, whatever it was, and then transfer again immediately? I mean, how can you do that? Is that even legal?
I don't know the ins and outs of it. I ain't gonna sit here though. I make out all the time like I know a ton of stuff. The more convincing you are, Pete, more people will believe you. Anyway. But I will say this. I did not know that whole thing, that if you did not feel comfortable somewhere, they'd let you transfer, was even possible until Justin Fields did that.
Yeah.
So he's going to have eligibility. I didn't know that. But I do want to say that if you're playing for a team and all of a sudden they get some NCAA ban, no matter how long you've been there, you do get to transfer if you want to. I could be wrong. If it's dealing with something with institution, but don't carry that to the bank.
And that's what I was thinking.
Write it in pencil if you do.
Yeah, I was thinking that because I don't even know, what was the scandal, academic scandal? They said a tutor gave somebody answers to a test or something. Talk about reaching.
Like 12 athletes.
Okay.
Yeah, 12 athletes from that. And it's better to sit here and sit on it and kind of find out even more stuff. But the initial story is that some tutor helped out 12 student athletes, and they couldn't play ball, but with the help of this tutor, I think it was a girl. She helped.
Did she have Osterine too?
No, but that has a 24-hour shelf life. We're the only ones guilty of that. We're cheaters.
Yeah.
So, you know how that is.
Right.
You know how that is. We're all horrible. Sweeney's horrible. You're horrible. I'm horrible. We're all horrible. Well, I've been Bama's done it.
I know that I'm horrible. I know you're horrible too. But I'm not going to speak for the rest of Clemson.
That's it.
But
yeah. So, listen, buddy, I know you got people lined up left and right. I don't want to take up your phone call.
Not really. Yeah, I don't.
Well, I'll ask you this.
Yeah.
I'll ask you this since you got to, first of all, congrats on your show.
Thank
Doing
you.
great. Me, I hadn't done calling show. I'm gonna tell you why. I think I get into a screaming frenzy, and I don't know if my heart can take anymore. But doing great job. Great job.
I think I will probably get into a screaming frenzy at some point. I haven't had to do that yet. But it's still early. You know what I mean?
A Georgia Tech fan for you. He threw me for a loop because when I first come on there, I was sitting there going, okay, this is good. And then he tells you that he agrees with you. Good answer on whether they can sneak up on them on a Thursday night in Death Valley with a brand new coach, with a bunch of players. Basically, let me tell you this. Let me give you, you know me, I like to give analogies.
Yeah, go ahead.
He basically has the parts. If he was building a house, he basically has the parts to build a nice little Lego setup, but he's been hired to build a beach house to withstand hurricane gale force winds. That's what he has right now. I don't think anybody thinks with the right mind that they are even possibly going to compete on that Thursday night. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen.
So I don't know if you
this ain't happening.
I don't know if you heard this, but Tony Elliott was asked in a press conference after they hired what's that? I don't even remember the guy's name they hired. Anyway, would he have been interested in the Georgia Tech job if they offered it to him? And his answer was yes, he would have been, but they never called him. So the first thing I want to do is thank you, Georgia Tech, for not calling Tony Elliott, because he would have taken the job.
We appreciate it.
Tony Elliott has relationships with high school football players all over Georgia, high school football coaches is what I really mean. And he would have been probably the best offensive mind they've had in the past 50 years in there. No disrespect to Paul Johnson. Obviously, he's a genius. We know that. But
yeah, we all know.
But yeah, God. So
couldn't win a game worth anything.
Hey, come on now. He won an ACC championship in 10, sir. What are you talking about?
2000, wasn't it 2010 when basically everybody, including Florida State, kind of sucked?
Yeah.
Anyway,
yes.
I know it's wrestling failures, but maybe I'll take some heat off you. People already hate me. Why not beef up the club that hates me? But you're right. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, you're right. But if people aren't hating you, you're not doing anything right, sir.
That is right. That is right. I live by that.
As a matter of fact, I'm gonna start hating you now, just as a rule of thumb.
Just for that, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You are such a gentleman. No, you know what? Here's the deal. A lot of people don't. I just don't like to talk about it. Pete, I don't like it. I don't like. We had to sit as Clemson fans and sit and listen to last year. Oh, this whole Kelly Bryant, Trevor Lawrence thing is going back and forth. Of course, too, he ruled the world. I mean, my God, when I played Bobby Durkins Jr., and I got the football, and it's just a 3-year-old and a 12-year-old, and I'm out there. Of course I ruled them, and that was exactly what Bama was doing. I'm not taking away from them. I'm just saying that's what they're doing, and we had to sit and listen to this crap. And then Kelly leaves, and then we even got people in Clemson's base saying, loyalty. You were not loyal to that young man. Then we know Trevor gets knocked out in the Syracuse game. Everybody's talking about this, that, and the other. And it's funny how just 5 months changes everything. And we're talking about Bryant possibly even transferring somewhere else.
It is crazy.
I wouldn't be surprised if he went ahead and did.
If they let him do it, he might do it. I don't know. The Missouri fans are all telling me that he's staying, but I don't know if that's just them, hoping and wishing and praying that he's staying, or if that's actual fact or not. I don't know.
You don't know. You don't know with them. You
Yeah.
don't know with them. You don't know with them because they went in there and slapped you in the head, or attempted to, over your comments. You said nothing bad about them. Isn't that kind of pissy? How people can by the way, who hasn't really won much in quite a while, how they get so sensitive. And I just want to say this to all you sensitive people out there. People like me and Pete, we love meeting people like you because we will absolutely drive you nuts until you have a heart attack.
And
because you're such an easy target.
And we used to be that guy because listen, it wasn't 10 years ago. We were that team that hadn't won anything in a while. So yeah, it's easy. It's easy. It's low hanging fruit. That's the way I like to put it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is low hanging fruit. We'll pick it every time. Well, Pete, you have a good one. Great show. Take care of yourself. And when they get together sometime, you be good. I see you.
All right, man. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate it.
All right, bye.
All right, anybody who'd like to call in, the number is 855-902-9368. Good start to the call-ins, though. We had a Georgia Tech fan, which was surprising, but much accepted and appreciated. And, of course, the legendary Bobby Durkins. Bobby Durkins here! Yeah. Let's see what you guys are talking about in the comment section real quick. I saw somebody a minute ago, I think it was Vodka Drinker, said that Paul Johnson has a health issue. Is that the same sort of health issue as Urban Meyer, or is it like a legitimate health issue that he has? Notre Dame Nation says Tua is so overrated. I would have to disagree with you on that. I mean, listen, it depends on how you're rating him. He's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in America. Some would say top 3. So I don't know how you can get much higher than that. He's a great player. He does have injury problems, though. Yeah, Urban Meyer, he'll be the next coach of somewhere. Who knows where that's going to be. Very, very soon. Well, if nobody wants to call in and yell at me, tell me how dumb I am and how much my sunglasses are cheap, and the only reason I wear a hat is because I must have a receding hairline or something, I can end the stream. Surely somebody out there wants to call. Look at Paul Johnson's weight drop. He has cancer. Oh, I'm not going to even go there. If that's not true, that's a terrible thing to say. I want to give a big shout out right now to Tiger Nation, Billy Dawson, and of course, Bobby C. Catfish from the Volunteer Roadshow. Right now, Catfish is running away with the Patreon contest. You have till tomorrow to sign up if you want to enter this month's contest, a $50 Visa card. Right now, Bobby's the only one to sign up, and he's going to win it if nobody else does. And as far as the Super Chat contest, which goes on for the next 4 weeks or so, between now and March 1st, we have NASA CGI Snakes, Alan V, Tiger Nation, Billy Dawson, Catfish are all in the running for that. And so we'll see who wins that. It's funny how I don't see many USC shirts after Clemson beat Bama. USC, what, junior? Is that what you mean? Listen, we were the storm. I don't know where you live, sir. Come to where I live, and you'll see USC junior shirts every day, all day, everywhere you go. I live in the heart of Gamecock fandom. Luke Huffaker says Clemson will have to compete with Miami for the ACC. Well, I agree with you partly as far as Miami winning the Coastal, but I think you have it backwards. I think that Miami needs to compete with Clemson for the ACC, not the other way around. But yes, I think you're right. Virginia Tech, not quite sure if they have what it takes to win the Coastal next year. I think Miami should listen. Anything short of a complete meltdown, Miami has no business losing the Coastal next year. But they're most likely going to lose to Clemson. I mean, if I had to bet anything that meant anything to me, any amount of money that mattered to me, I would bet on Clemson to beat Miami in the ACC title. What about Florida State? What about Florida State? That's a good question. Yeah, no. Florida State has more talent than probably 12 of the teams in the ACC. Talent. But they had that last year. And did you see them? Oh, that might have been the worst coaching staff or the worst coaching job that I've ever seen from an elite, talented team in my life. So unless Willie Taggart completely did a complete overhaul and a magic trick in Tallahassee, I don't see any way Florida State's going to get back on top. Now, I don't know. Maybe it's going to take him a year or two. Is Willie Taggart offense that complex or difficult to figure out that they took that much of a drop-off? Here's the one thing we all know. It doesn't matter how much you know about football, X's and O's, Y's, doesn't matter. Their offensive line has been terrible for going on 5 years now. So if they don't get that offensive line shored up, I mean, you could put Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Deshaun Watson. Don't matter who you put back there at quarterback. If he doesn't have more than a half of a second to throw the football, then it's over. Cancel Christmas. So we'll see what they do with the offensive line. All right, I got a call here. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete. They hung up. You can call back if you want to. I only got about 5 more minutes anyway. Hound Dog, I'm not going to even read that statement, sir. That's a ridiculous thing to say. Johnson does not step out of the job besides health issues. I don't laugh at it. Tech was comfortable with Coach Johnson. I'm not laughing at a health issue. And they might have been comfortable with Coach Johnson. But that means that they were comfortable with winning 6 or 7 games a year on average. That's what that means. All right. Good afternoon.
Hey, Pigskin, it's Small Ball.
Hey, Small Ball. What's up, man? How you doing?
Doing good, sir. I got something to say for you Clemson fans out there. You guys should be insulted by Kelly Bryant doing this act. You know why?
Why?
Number one, he left Clemson when he could have been the starting quarterback if he just learned to compete. But now he's saying that he wants to go to Missouri, and yet when Missouri receives a bowl ban, he stays. I mean, that's a slap in the face to Clemson if you want to ask me.
Well, he left Clemson because he got benched, and if he took one more snap,
right.
If he took one more snap as a Clemson quarterback after the new redshirt rule, he would have been his college career was over.
Right, but I mean the fact is, you got to stay. I'm a person that likes to stay loyal to their team, and I'm just saying from my perspective, if I was a Clemson fan, I would take this as a slap to the face because, I mean, that's just one dirty way to leave your team. And then when it's a lot worse for Missouri when they're not even eligible to make a bowl game. I mean, Kelly Bryant still could have played. Because think about it, Pigskin. If when Trevor Lawrence goes down against Syracuse, if Kelly Bryant had been at quarterback, he probably would have won the game and probably made a statement. That would have been his statement to make. Hey, I should be the starting quarterback. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to go outperform everybody and prove why I deserve to be there. Now, I mean, I know that that's hard to do, and it's easy to say but hard to do. But the fact is, he had a chance. And now, but the fact that he's going to Missouri, where he can't have where they're not bowl eligible, and he's not able to play in a ball game, and he's not going to leave Missouri, that's a slap in the face to me.
So if Kelly Bryant had stayed, right, and he would have played in that Syracuse game, and Trevor Lawrence got knocked out, Kelly Bryant came in and won the game and saved the day and played for about 2 quarters. So if you fast forward past that, Kelly Bryant would have lost his eligibility to ever play college football again, never would have played the rest of the year because Trevor Lawrence went on to win every game he played, and his college career is over. So I don't blame Kelly for transferring at all. I really don't.
Right. I mean, I guess I don't blame him either, but the way that he handled it is where I'm more.
Yeah, no, I understand. I think that there's a large group of people out there, fans, that they get upset when a player leaves. But here's the thing about Kelly Bryant what makes it different than like a Tate Martell leaving from Ohio State or a Justin Fields leaving from Georgia. Kelly Bryant was a senior graduate who had been on that team for 4 entire years and did not transfer. He sat behind Deshaun Watson for 2 entire years and didn't get the starting job and didn't transfer. And then he won the starting job after Watson left, and then he got beat out by a true freshman in his senior year after he'd already graduated. So I think that once you graduate, there's a little bit of a different stigma and expectation that is attached to your loyalty. I mean, look, Jalen Hurts transferred as a graduate transferred, same as Kelly Bryant did, and a lot of players do that. And because here's the thing is they think that some of them are, and some of them think they are, but they probably aren't going to be NFL players. And that's their dream. And so, I mean, who am I or you or anybody else to tell a young man who's graduated from college and spent 4 years there that they can't go chase their dream, whatever that is, if it's the NFL or whatever else, you know?
Right. I mean, that makes sense. I can see where you make a good point there.
Yeah.
Anyway, like I said, I would come on and just say hi to you and let you know what I thought about it. If you guys haven't seen, I made a video recently about it. I didn't talk about slapping the face part because I didn't think about it just till now, but that's basically what I think about it. And happy to be on Pigskin. Love your channel, love your show, and I'll be tuning in from now on whenever I can.
All right.
So, have a good one, sir.
Thanks, Smallball. Thanks for calling in, man. Appreciate it.
All right, see ya.
All right. Go ahead and pick up another call here before I get off. Good afternoon. You're on with Pigskin Pete. How can I help you?
Oh, yeah. Good morning, though.
Hey, look. I know. I recognize that voice.
Hey, listen. You can't blame Kelly Bryant. But what's he supposed to do? Smile and ride the bench for the last 11 games of his college career? He took advantage of the rule. The problem is not with Kelly Bryant. The problem is with the rule. I don't think juniors and seniors should be able to take a red shirt after playing for 4 years. I think they need to change the rule and have that for underclassmen only, and keep juniors and seniors at the regular red shirt rules the way it was before.
I agree with that.
That's not the way this rule was. This rule was not intended to take a 3-year, 2-year starter, whatever it is, and then force him to compete for his job his 3rd or 4th year after he started 2 years in a row by playing an on-field competition in the first 4 games, so that he then can redshirt.
Yeah. So basically, what you're saying is
after that's not right.
You'd be okay with the new redshirt rule as far as the 4-game thing, as long as it only applied to freshmen and sophomores.
Right. Like, you got a team that goes 7-5 or something and makes a bowl game and has a bunch of seniors don't play because they go pro or juniors quit or whatever. And so you let you let the freshmen play in the bowl game or whatever. 3 or 4 games for freshmen and sophomores is fine. But juniors and seniors, I think it should just be the way it was before. If a kid gets hurt, or maybe make it that way for injuries. even if you get injured maybe and you've played 3 or 4 games and you're a junior or senior, maybe you can take a red shirt. But to allow what happened at Clemson, I mean, that just doesn't seem right. I don't think that's what the rule was intended for. So, but to blame it on Kelly Bryant, I mean, what's he supposed to do? I mean, the kid did everything right. He got there. He could have transferred when he first got there. He didn't. He waited his turn, right? So it's not like he's one of these people who just said, well, if I'm not starting right away, I'm leaving, which I don't necessarily have a problem with that either. But, I mean, he got there. He waited his turn behind the greatest quarterback y'all have ever had. His time came along. He did okay. I mean, everyone knows what his deficiencies were or whatever, and everyone sort of saw the writing on the wall, I think, with Trevor Lawrence. So I don't think anybody was really surprised how it turned out. But I don't think you can blame Kelly Bryant. I mean, what's he supposed to do? Spend the last 11 games of his college career, smiling and watching Trevor Lawrence win a national title? I mean, I don't blame him for leaving at all. I don't blame him at all. He took advantage of the rule. I mean, the kids have been crapped on in college football for a long time, and it's got nothing to do with getting paid. I'm totally against them getting paid. But some of these archaic transfer rules, I mean, can you believe that you used to could restrict a kid to where he would go? I mean, that's just the craziest. I mean, that's just ridiculous. A kid's at Georgia, and he wants to leave, and you say, okay, you can leave, but you can't go to these 13 schools. I mean, what is that? I mean, that's crazy. It's ridiculous.
I'm all
for the kids having some freedom.
Yeah, I never blamed Kelly Bryant for what he did. I mean, listen, the guy was a graduate. That's what people are missing in this whole thing.
Right.
Yeah, he was the poster child for this whole new redshirt rule thing because that had never happened where a senior who had graduated was able to sit out the rest of the season, after he played 4 games already, started 4 games, and then transfer. So he's sort of the poster child for it. But you're right. It's not Kelly Bryant's fault. I mean, ever since this Kelly Bryant thing has happened, I've been telling Alabama fans and arguing with Alabama fans. I've been telling them Jalen Hurts is going to do the same thing. He's going to transfer whenever he graduates because of Tua. And they're all telling me, oh, no, he's a stand-up, he's a team player. I'm like, listen, are you not paying attention? Jalen Hurts does not give 2 shits about Alabama. He wants to be a professional football player. And he's not going to sit behind his hot shot Tua Tagovailoa for his final year of eligibility. It's not going to happen. If Jalen Hurts had been a graduate after 4 games of the season, he'd have transferred the same as Kelly Bryant. The only difference was he was a junior and Kelly Bryant was a senior, so he didn't have to. You know what I'm saying? But I completely agree with you. I think that it is messed. I think that they didn't even think that through when they made that rule. And I agree. Yeah. At least a senior, probably junior and senior, should be the threshold where they can't do that. I agree.
Yeah, because, I mean, that's just not what – I mean, I'm not trying to go back to the old – I mean, originally the redshirt rules was because you didn't want teeny tiny 18-year-old kids getting manhandled by 22-year-old grown men, but that's not the case anymore. These high school kids come in now physically, they're fine. So I'm okay with them having the 5 years of eligibility, but if you're going to take a red shirt, do it one of the first 2 years. You got a guy that started for 2 or 3 years, and then basically he loses his job. I'm just dancing to him, but I had to call in.
That's perfect timing because my computer is about to die anyway. I just got the low battery signal. But I got a couple of super chats in here I want to mention before I get off. Hound Dog coming through with a $5 super chat. Where's my pen? I don't know. I'll write it down as soon as I get off here. So you are entered in the super chat thing, sir. He says, I wonder what happens if the polar vortex and transfer portal cross paths. I think what happens is you end up with some sort of alien transfer that probably looks a lot like Jalen Hurts. That's just my opinion on that. And Catfish coming through with another $10 donation. He says, I'm winning the drawing. Spot me another penny. I'm going to enter 9 drawings and 99 little smaller pieces instead of 100. So you'll definitely win it. But thank you to Hound Dog, Volunteer Roadshow, all these other guys that have entered this, all the guys that have entered the Patreon thing. You guys are all amazing, and you're all fantastic. Thanks to all the callers. Thanks to Uncle Lou for calling in. Thanks to Bobby Darkatair. Thanks to the Georgia Tech fan who called in. and was actually nice. The first Georgia Tech fan in the history of all of the Pigskin Pete YouTube channel that did not call me a complete moron, loser, every other word you can think of to describe somebody who's a complete degenerate. That's what they usually do to me, because, you know, we all know Georgia Tech people are extremely smart, and people, simple-minded people like me, cannot comprehend the triple option. We all know that. So I think I've said it all, and I think you said it all too, every single one of you. Yeah. Thank you all. I guess that's it. I'm at a loss for words, which is very rare on this YouTube channel. Thank you all for calling in. Thanks for all for watching. Thanks for all for commenting. Thanks to the super chats, everybody. And I'll see you very soon. And I will be live streaming. I got permission from Mrs. Pete. I will be live streaming the Super Bowl. So come on and yell at me then, too. Thank you. Pigskin Pete. Checking out.